Hey, house guests. Welcome to today's Big Brother 22 updates and spoilers. Our house guests of the day, Kathy Bartek and Catherine Keys. Thank you both so much for the support. We could not do this without you, and we appreciate it so much. Damn, I should have, a couple years ago, I did like Kathy week, and it was amazing. I should have done that again, but I freaking blew it this year. But anyway, thank you guys again so much for the support. We couldn't do it without you. And hello, everyone. I'm sorry. I'm not wearing the towel anymore. It's just wet hair, but it is what it is, right? We're just going to deal with it. And before we get started on today's spoiler, I want to thank all of yesterday's super chatters because you guys, we also could not do it without you. So we've got Jody Cortez, Brand Phillips, Jefferson Tucker, McKinley Noel, A.R. Chan, 1785, Candy, Ed M, Jared Harper, M.M. Pens Fan, Mr. Roybot, Anita Starr, Patty Kitten Guru, and Jim Miller. Seriously, you guys are all so awesome, and we could not do it without you. Amazing. Yeah, right? Kathy Week was just like the best ever. We need to do Kathy Week again. I'll remember for next time. So anyway, I mean, it's been sort of a quiet day on the feeds, but we still have much to discuss. Somehow I still ended up with like 9 pages of notes, which is, I was going through my notes when I was reviewing for this, and I was like, what is all of this? When did all this happen? So we do have some things to talk about. So I hope you guys are ready. All right. So last night, Janelle was evicted by a vote of 9-2. It was very upsetting. Would have been upset either way. But I already saw that she's like kicking ass, doing all of her press now that she's out of the house. And at least we have that to enjoy. And I'm sure she will be giving us all of her thoughts on Twitter. So that's fun, right? All right. So if you guys noticed, there were 2 votes to keep Janelle. And they were Danny and Enzo. And these were separately planned hinky votes. I'm not even sure what Enzo's purpose was for doing this. I have a couple of theories. My first theory is that he's just like, I'm going to do whatever I want. Like, I don't care how the rest of the house is voting. And I like Janelle. Also, it could be he's trying to, stir things up and maybe frame somebody, just cause a little bit of drama in the house, get somebody to put a target on their own back. Or it could be that he's thinking there could be a battle back and he is trying to plan for that. Like, just in case one of these people come back and he's like, hey, guess what? I voted to keep you. So we're cool, right? Yeah. Okay. So anyway, Danny, we already know that she was trying to do this to blame it on somebody, meaning like Davon or Bailey, and she approached Cody about it and he said no, and it looks like she went ahead and did it anyway without him. All right, so the episode last night ended with the HOH competition in progress, and we saw before the show ended that Kaysar had already qualified for the final round. Yay! Thanks, Richard. Thanks for the super chat. You're awesome. Okay, so Kaysar, moving on to the final round. You love to see it. So the feed stayed down for almost 3.5 hours after the episode ended. What did we miss during that time? Maybe that's why the feeds were so quiet after. Oh my goodness. So when they came back, we finally learned that Enzo won the HOH. And wow, he is becoming quite the comp piece this year. It's funny because his first time he was on, I felt like he should have been winning competitions and he like couldn't. And now it's like, he's in a really good spot this season. Maybe he shouldn't win competitions, and he is. So, yeah, it sounds like this one was super close in that final round with Enzo, Cody, and Christmas. It was like photo finish, and production might have even had to have like gone back and checked the video footage to make sure that Enzo was the true winner. So obviously we know Enzo, Cody, Christmas, Kaysar were all in the final round. I think David might have also been in the final round, but I'm not sure who that 6th person is. We also found out that the have-nots for the week are Day, Danny, and Tyler. It's only 3. Janelle was evicted, so she didn't get to pick somebody. Oh, and it just so happens that the 3 this week are the last ones that haven't been have-nots yet. So after that, it's going to be repeats, and that's when the fun is going to begin. So everyone was chilling for a bit when the feeds came back. Enzo, who's usually like so lively and everything, was alone up on the sky bridge, just, quiet with his thoughts. Eventually, Cody joins him, and Cody asks, who do you think did the votes? And I immediately think of, like, what was that show on Netflix, American Vandals? That fake documentary when they're like, hey, who did the dicks? Who drew the dicks on the teachers' cars in the parking lot? Yeah, so it just made me think of that. And I love that show. But anyway, Enzo knows that he was one of the votes, but Enzo is not owning it, even to Cody. Cody's supposed to be like his number one guy, and he's not telling him. He never even told anybody that he was the vote to keep Unicole. So he is keeping that to himself. Okay, so Enzo says, well, Memphis already said that he didn't do it. And Cody says, all right, this is between you and effing me. He says, yesterday, Danny pulled me into the back room and told me that we should vote the opposite way of everybody else and try and pin it on 2 people. So Cody's like, I told her no. I told her I didn't want to do it. So, like, I don't know if it was her, but I'm just saying that is a thing that happened. And yes, that's true. We talked about it in yesterday's spoiler. So Enzo's like, all right, well, I'm going to talk to everyone, and I'm going to see who they all pin it on, who they think did it. So Cody says Bailey's already pissed because she knows that people are going to try and pin this on her since she was like super close to Janelle. So Cody says he already asked Danny about this. So this is something that we missed while the feeds were down, which is a bummer. But he asked Danny, like, oh, who did you get to vote with you since I said I wasn't going to do it? And Danny told Cody that she didn't do it. She didn't go through with it. So she told Cody, once you said no, I wasn't going to do it. Dang! So Danny's lying to Cody too. Whoa. I didn't expect that because we've seen Danny bring like every little bit of information back to Cody. So I'm really surprised that she's lying to him like this. Woo! So Enzo says, we got to make a move on them. I believe he's talking about Danny and Nicole. But he says, not this week though. Oh, man. You know how exciting that would have been? Oh, my God. Okay, so Cody says he just can't get over this Danny potentially voting thing. So he says it's pretty weird that Danny would ask me to do that with the votes, and then a day later, it happens. Yes. It is weird, isn't it, Cody? So Enzo says Danny's capable of anything. But it could be Bailey, it could be Davon, it could be Memphis, Kevin. Like, we don't know, and we'll probably never know the truth. But he says that he wants to see who people are going to throw out there, even if it's not true. So Cody just really seems upset that Danny might have done this voting thing with someone other than him. Oof. It's like Danny, like, asked him out, and he said no, but then he gets jealous when he finds out that she, like, went out with somebody else. You know what I mean? It's like one of those things, I feel like. So anyway, Enzo shares his early plans for nominations. He plans to put up Kaysar and the Pawn. No. So he says, if Kaysar wins power veto, I'll F and backdoor Ian. I don't give an F. So we know that he's out to get Ian because he's been saying it since, like, week 1. Remember, he was like, Cody, you want me to use the veto so that we could, like, take out a big target like Ian or something? Like, he's been thinking about this for a while because he's been saying he's going to be really embarrassed if somebody who's already won before wins again. So he does not want that to happen. He says, Ian was a champ. He never talks game with me. It's whatever. All right. So he also says, I want to backdoor one of the girls right now, but it's too early. Helen, it's not too early. Just do it. Okay, so he says, if the girls don't start winning soon, like the girls that he's aligned with, I'm going to tell them they're out of the alliance. Can you imagine? Oh, my God. I guess he figures, like, after it gets to a certain point in the game, somebody's going to have to take them out. And if they're not taking each other out, he's going to have to buckle down and do it. So Cody, again, is like, I love Danny, but that was just really weird. I'm not going to say anything about it to anyone else, but, like, I want to see whose names start coming up. He is so bothered by this. All right. So Enzo says, again, I'm going to talk to everyone. He says, Cody, you and Tyler are the safe ones this week. You're my boys. Like, we're going to run through this house, blah, blah, blah. So Enzo also brings up, this is something that they were complaining about last week too, that Bailey and Day were like cheering too hard for Janelle during the HOH competition last week. So now Enzo is saying he's pissed that Day was cheering for Kaysar during the HOH competition, and he's thinking maybe she was one of the hinky votes. Could be. So then they were talking about how Kaysar looked miserable when Enzo won HOH, and Enzo says, "You showing your cards, bro." But Enzo also just kept saying like how much he just wanted to drink and like relax. Don't worry, it's coming. All right. So he, moving forward, he's really liking working with Bailey, and he is hoping that he'll be able to convince her in the future to target Danny when the time comes to really take her out. So Cody's like, all right, but we need to be careful with that because we can't like be talking about that now and let it get back to Danny. And then she's going to be pissed at us. And then the whole thing is going to be ruined. So Enzo says double eviction would be the perfect time to take out somebody like Danny. Whoa. And they're all suspecting double eviction is going to be happening, like not this coming week, but like the following week, possibly. Maybe. I'm not really sure. Right? We didn't get that heads up yet. We didn't get the memo. So I don't know. But anyway, meanwhile, Kevin is talking to Day while she's in the shower. And it was kind of hard to like follow this conversation because number one, they were whispering. Number two, I don't think Day had her mic on at the time. She wasn't like actually showering, but she was in the shower stall. And it was before she put her mic back on. And the feeds kept like cutting in and out during this conversation. But what everybody always makes fun of the way I say ruined. What's wrong with it? How do you say it? Am I supposed to say ruined? I don't know. But anyway, Day was saying to Kevin, she thinks it's pretty sus that Danny keeps getting called to the diary room. I think she got called like twice since the show ended. For what? Like, why did she keep getting called to the diary room? So she's wondering, is Danny responsible for one of the rogue votes? What's that all about? Yup. Good call, Day. Okay, so then a little later, Memphis and Kaysar are having a game chat in the key bedroom. And it is ruined. I just say ruined. I don't know. So Memphis and Kaysar are having a game chat in the key bedroom. And I just want to remind everybody, neither of these two are aligned with Enzo. They're not in an official thing with him. But Memphis at least has some allies in common with Enzo because Enzo is aligned with like almost everybody. So Kaysar says he doesn't care about the rogue votes. People keep coming up to him and telling him like, I voted for you to say, I want you to know that. And he's like, I don't care. He said, I don't get why anyone else does either. Calm your asses down. He actually said, calm your asses down. And that's just hilarious. So Memphis says, between me and you, there's a lot of shit going around about David right now. He is really spinning out the last few days. He got caught in a bunch of lies about different people. And he's like, I don't know exactly what the situation was, but everybody's talking about it. It's a mess. He says, Enzo has even mentioned it to me. So Memphis says, we got to continue this dialogue about David, make sure people are still talking about what a disaster he is. Maybe we can get him up on the block. And Memphis says, if David's up on the block against me or you, we can convince the house to vote him out. He says there's no reason for anyone to keep him. He's not doing anything for anyone's games. And people are sick of him at this point. He's making rookie mistakes, and it's just not cool. So Kaysar says, I don't know if that's going to happen because he figures Cody and Tyler are going to be in Enzo's ear this week. And he feels like Cody and Tyler are going to try and get the two of them nominated. But Kaysar doesn't realize that Memphis is working with those two guys. So Memphis says, yeah, but like Cody and Tyler have also been talking shit about David. I mean, they were the two that David really messed up by spreading around that information today. But anyway, Memphis says we just got to keep pushing that nonchalantly. We don't want to be too loud about it because then we're going to be in trouble. So just like casually keep talking about how much of a mess David is. So he says even if we just like step back for a couple days, David is going to continue to spin out. He is going to dig his own grave in here. We won't even have to convince the House to vote him out. He says nobody is going to want David on the jury because he would make an irrational decision with his jury vote when it comes down to the final two. Plus, they don't want to be stuck in the jury house with him. Damn! Okay. So then Danny and Cody were chatting in the storage room, and Danny's like, you know what I was thinking? She says, imagine if we did go ahead and do those fake votes, then it would have been 4. Oh my God, the lies! And I feel like Cody is just listening to this like, yeah. Mm-hmm. So Danny says, like, it would have been really funny, but I would have freaked out about it. It would have been 4 votes for Janelle to stay. So Cody says, oh, well, I was thinking that you convinced someone else to do the votes with you since I said no. Not like I don't trust you, but, that's just what my first thought was when I heard the votes. And Danny's like, but who would I have asked? You're stupid. So she says, I came to you about it. Like, I wasn't going to go and do that with somebody else. Nah, just by herself. Okay, so then the feeds go down for Enzo's HOH room reveal. Big brother, like, why do you hate us? I just want to see these damn HOH room reveals. This is also Enzo's first HOH win ever. He didn't win his first time around. But I'm pretty sure the reason we don't get to see these now is because it's like a COVID-related situation. Production can't go in there and set up the baskets all nice like they normally would. So we don't get to see the, like, down and dirty truth of these HOH room reveals. But Enzo did end up getting his alcohol. He got some White Claws, and he dove right into them. Oh, my God. All right. So after a little while, Enzo and Christmas are alone in the HOH room, so they have a game chat. And here's some more context, you guys. We know that Enzo has been trying to pull Christmas in. He really likes her. He knows she's going to be a tough competitor and win things. And he wants to use her in the future to take out the girls that he's aligned with so that he doesn't have to do it. So they both say, like, I like you too, blah, blah, blah. And Enzo's like, I already gave you the +1 from the safety suite, so you know that you're good with me. That's it. Get ready to hear. We've already heard him say that's it so many times, but we're going to hear it like 1,000 more times now. Which is not a problem because I laugh almost every time he's like, that's it. That's it. So Enzo says, the two of us have to work together. Just be loyal to me and I'll be loyal to you. That's it. Yeah. So Christmas says, Dunzo. She loves it. She's down. So Enzo says, you got nothing to worry about this week. So then he's asking her, what do you think about the 2 votes? Who the F was that? So Christmas says, I don't know. Everyone's denying it at this point. Bailey's really upset that people are thinking that it was her. And Enzo's like, here's what I think. I think that people think there's going to be a battle back. And say Janelle comes back, they're going to be like, oh, I voted for you. Those other people didn't. I tried to get them, but I couldn't. So is this why Enzo voted to keep Janelle and Unicole? I feel like he's telling us his reasons now. So then Christmas starts spilling her information. She's like, this is what I know. Day and Bailey are super tight. Really? Duh. But she says they're sensitive about it. They don't like being called out on it. They tried to pull Christmas into a few things already. Remember when they were trying to keep Unicole around and they were seeing if they could get Christmas on their side? But Christmas also says Bailey was really close to Janelle. So Janelle in her campaigning was saying, oh, I have Bailey and Memphis's votes locked in. So, I mean, like, she was saying she had 2 votes locked in, and we saw there were 2 votes this week. So maybe, you know, maybe that could be. But Christmas says, Memphis is my boy. She said he told me that he was just telling Janelle what she wanted to hear last week and that he wasn't actually going to keep her. So, like, maybe it wasn't actually him. And Enzo's like, Memphis does not have to worry this week. He did not put me up on the block when he was the HOH. Like, he's going to be fine, so don't worry about it. Oh, great. I feel so much better now. So then they give their opinions on a bunch of different people, blah, 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 blah. Enzo asks, what do you think about Nicole F? And Christmas says, I really like her. She's legit. So then she starts going through saying, oh, Nicole is really close with Ian, and Ian would do anything for her. And she's also really close with Cody. Cody's really close with Danny. And Enzo's like, yeah, and, you know, that probably means that Nicole and Danny are also really close. Yes, they are. As they're going through this, I feel like this should be an issue, that Nicole is so close to so many people. Shouldn't that, like, be a red flag? Like, maybe we should pay more attention to Nicole? Yeah. But anyway, then they talk about Danny. They agree she's really good socially. She's really good in competitions. She hasn't won yet, but she's been doing really well. It's only a matter of time. And Enzo asks, do you think she was one of the votes? Maybe she was trying to pin it on somebody. I do think so. But Christmas says, I love Danny. Oh, wait, no, I'm sorry. Enzo says, I love her. I like her a lot, but she's really good. You got to keep an eye on somebody like that. So Christmas agrees. And she says, yeah, Danny is always going around getting FaceTime with everybody. She always seems to be in the right place at the right time, and nobody seems to think twice about it. Maybe that's a sign that you should think twice about it. Or maybe 3 times or more. Like, you should probably think about it more. So Christmas says she talks to Kaysar a lot. She starts talking about Kaysar, and she says he confides in me. Because remember, Christmas thinks that she's Kaysar's new Janelle. So Enzo says, I like Kaysar. He's a good guy. But if the whole house is telling me to put up Kaysar, what am I supposed to do? You know, how am I going to get around that? I'm probably going to have to put him up. So Christmas says she gave Kaysar some advice for this coming week. You know, once Janelle goes, you just got to keep a low profile. Don't be like talking all over the place. Just chill. And Enzo's like, yeah, sounds good. So then Cody joins them to chat for a while, whatever. Once they leave and Enzo's alone again, Enzo talks to the cameras. He's been doing this quite a bit in the last day and a half. And he says to the cameras, they're all effing flip-floppers, everyone. And he does this weird mouth thing. He's like, he keeps doing it. It's so funny. So then he goes, he's like, I'm going to turn off the lights. He said, that's it. It's over, yo. I don't want no one coming in here. F everyone. I can't. Okay. So I think the flip-flopping and stuff, he's talking about, like, the vote and also, like, Day cheering for Kaysar during the HOH. Like, that really bothered him. And just, you know, he's also had a few White Claws at this point. So anyway, meanwhile, Kaysar and Danny are up on the Sky Bridge. And Kaysar says, Danny, I know we talked earlier about looking out for each other, and I need your help. And I would be eternally grateful. He says, obviously, Janelle just went home, and some people probably still want me out. So he says, if there's any way you can use your influence to keep me safe. I split that sentence by accident in my notes. If there's any way you can use your influence to keep me safe. I love when that happens. I'd be eternally grateful. I do not want to go out like this. It would suck. So Danny says, I don't blame you. She says, honestly, though, I don't talk a lot of game with Enzo. I don't know where his head is at. She says, I'm cool with him. We joke around, but I don't know where his head's at in the game. here's an aside. Danny's in multiple alliances with Enzo, but I don't think she's completely lying here. I mean, yes, she is aligned with him. They're in the Slick Six, they're in the Core Four or whatever, but she talks way more to Cody. I feel like I'm talking that much one-on-one, unless I'm just like blocking it out. But I feel like she is not as close with Enzo. So anyway, Kaysar's asking, okay, well, who is Enzo close to? Who can I talk to try and get some sway here with him? So Danny suggests maybe Cody. Yeah, I would say. So Danny says, when you talk to him, you should really push the angle that you're all alone in this house. You know, maybe you could get him to put up David and Kevin instead. You know, David's really been getting under people's skin lately, so that could be a possibility. So then Danny's asking Kaysar, who voted you out? Come on. Okay, obviously, like, we know that she was one of the votes, so it's pretty bold of her to be like, who voted you out? But she doesn't know who the other rogue vote was, so she is still trying to figure that out. But Kaysar's like, I don't know. Who cares? He is not going to dwell on this. He does not give a shit. But he tells Danny, like, your guess is as good as mine. Maybe it's just like an old school, new school thing. But, yeah, I don't care. So then Danny is saying, it would probably be good for you, like, if you are going to go up on the block, for David to go up next to you. That probably would be good, yes. More talk about what a mess David's been. Let's move on. Okay, so some late night strategy talks. Woo! So Nicole and Danny were in the kitchen, and this conversation was really hard to hear because these two are like really good at whispering. Okay, so Danny says, Cody, Tyler, and Memphis, we're working with those guys, but they are all really freaking good at competitions. So it's great for us now because we're protected. But, you know, once we're in the jury, it's going to be time to take out Memphis. And at first, Nicole is like, oh, I don't want to be in the jury with Memphis. Like, he sucks. And then Danny's like, no, like, he's actually chill for the most part, blah, blah, blah. And then Nicole's also like, wait, I'm not going to the jury. So, like, it doesn't matter. Anyway, Danny says maybe, like, in a double eviction, that would be a good time for Memphis to go. He's a shield for Tyler and Cody right now. So once Memphis is gone, somebody's going to be putting Tyler and Cody up on the block against each other. And if those two are nominated together, she feels like Tyler's going to go because he's a bigger threat in competitions. He's got a better social game. And that's, good for them because they feel threatened by Tyler in this game. They don't want to be at the end with him. They would rather be with Cody. So that's, what they want to happen. So then they're talking about how they're going to have to be really careful when the time comes to split up Bailey and Day. So they both want Bailey to leave first. And Danny's like, we need to make sure we're going to be able to maintain a relationship with Day if we vote out Bailey. Like, if it's Bailey and, say, Kevin up on the block and we vote out Bailey, Day is going to be so pissed. But if we can have somebody win HOH who will put Bailey and Day up on the block together and we vote out Bailey, then Day is going to be grateful that we kept her and she'll still, like, be cool with us. So they're saying we need to find somebody to win HOH who will put them up together. And they're thinking that that person would be Christmas because she said that she would be fine doing that. So they're also speculating that this next HOH competition could be, like, the wall. I don't know if they're going to have the wall this season because that's going to take a lot of building and prep. And I don't know if they're going to be able to do that with the COVID restrictions this season. So I don't know about that. But anyway, they're hoping it's going to be the wall and that Christmas will win that and do their bidding. Okay, so then today, Enzo has been doing his one-on-one chats since he didn't do them last night. And Memphis was up first. It was very quick. Memphis did not even sit down. He's just standing up. And Enzo says, you're good. That's it. That's it. So Memphis is like, once we get to the second half of the game, we got to sit down and talk. Like, literally sit down and talk. Okay. So And Enzo says, you kept me safe when you were HOH. I'll keep you safe this week. Actions speak louder than words. Okay. So then Cody was in next to talk to Enzo. And Enzo's like, man, I should have been a better HOH last night. I drank like 5 White Claws and I fell asleep. So Cody says, it's fine. Like, don't worry about it. You needed to relax. Like, you were have not last week. And, you know, this was good for you. So Enzo says he's planning on talking to everyone individually, of course. But he also wants to have some meetings with all their alliances. He says, we got to meet with the Slick Six. That one's going to be bullshit. It's just for show. We got to meet with the Connect, which would be the two of them with Day and Bailey. And they also need to meet with the Core Four, which is them with Nicole and Danny. So Enzo tells Cody his plans for nomination. So he already told him that he was planning on putting up Kaysar, of course. But now he's kind of figured out maybe a pawn. He's thinking, I might put up Kevin next to Kaysar. Because, you know, he was also thinking maybe David, but he figures it would be good to keep David around as a target for the girls to go after. Okay. So Cody says, what about Ian? Like, I don't trust Ian. So, you know, they've already discussed if Kaysar wins the power veto that Ian could be going up in his place and he would be the new target. Cody likes the idea of taking away Nicole's ally that's outside of their alliance because they want Nicole completely to themselves. They don't want to be in a situation where she's choosing between Ian and one of them. Like, they don't know necessarily what she would do. Also, Ian's really good, so he is a huge threat. So Enzo again is saying, like, these girls need to start winning competitions if they want to have any say. Okay, so Enzo continues his meetings. Most of them were like 10 minutes or less. There weren't like these long, drawn-out conversations. So, of course, Enzo's asking pretty much everybody what they think about the rogue votes, who did it, and I'm just going to give you guys some highlights from these one-on-ones. Okay. So David was next, and Enzo told David, you need to stay calm if you hear your name floating around. Like, you can't freak out. That's a rookie mistake. So just relax. You know, you're going to start winning competitions soon. And he says, Memphis did you wrong. So keep that in your head for when you win HOH. Don't take out any of my allies. Just take out Memphis. All right. So then he was talking to Bailey. And he asked Bailey, like, who do you think the rogue votes were? And Bailey asked Enzo, were you one of them? He was, but he doesn't admit to it, of course. He's like, no. So, yeah, he said no. And Bailey's like, all right, well, then this was a trap. You know, somebody is trying to pin this on me, and that's not cool. So Enzo says, out of all the girls, he has the best connection with Bailey. And I believe that. I think he's being honest there. He's always talking about how great she is and how much he loves her. I would say his favorites at this point are, like, Bailey and Christmas, even though Christmas is not officially aligned with him. But Bailey's like, yeah, we got a great connection. I'm cool with whatever you want to do this week with your HOH. Okay, moving on. Kaysar. Kaysar says, Enzo, I want to let you know that I was quiet after the HOH competition was over. I'm really happy for you that you won, but he says I was quiet because I'm super competitive, so I was like bummed out that I lost. Also, he said he was heartbroken that he's not going to get to see his son this week. He was really looking forward to seeing the photos of his family. So he tells Enzo, I've got your back. I mean it. You can trust me. You know, I want to stick around long in this house so I can continue to have your back. So he's asking Enzo, what are you going to base your decision on here for nominations? Am I going to go up if everyone drops my name? And Enzo says, no, I'm doing this for myself. Uh-oh. So he says, I don't have any targets in mind yet. Oof. Okay, yes, he does. And it's Kaysar. So after this conversation, Enzo, again, is talking to the cameras, and he says, Kaysar's a good guy. He's a good kid. But he says Kaysar talked no game with him for 4 weeks, and he can't trust him right now. Okay, so then Tyler's the next one in to chat with Enzo. And Tyler isn't as concerned about this week. He's like, whatever. Like, I'm sure he's I mean, they do go over the nominations, Kevin and Kaysar, but also Tyler is like, which girl are we going to target first? Like when we decide it's time to move on these girls. So not this week, but coming up soon. So are we going to break up Bailey and Davon? Or are we going to take out Danny? Like, which side are we going to choose? So Enzo says, well, you know, we can make a move like that at the double eviction, or we could get somebody else to do it for us, like Christmas. So we know Tyler is also super close to Christmas. They have a final 2 under wraps. So that little group is pretty secure. So Tyler's like, you know what? I'll freaking backdoor Danny. I'm not afraid. I'll do it. I don't give a shit. Okay, then how do you really feel? But Tyler, he's always been suspicious of Danny, right? He's been feeling like this for a long time. And he thinks that Danny was one of the rogue votes. He's correct. And Enzo's like, yeah, I'm starting to think that too. You know, she does a lot of this planting seeds and like being really suspicious. So yeah. So they agree that it could be Danny. They also agree if they get rid of Kaysar this week, they'll fully have Christmas to make moves for them, because Christmas she's been getting closer and closer to Kaysar, and they don't want that to become an issue. So they're both saying like, let's get rid of Kaysar this week. All right. So then it was time for Danny to talk to Enzo. Whoa, we've got the 2 rogue votes together in one room. Neither of them are owning up to it. So Danny says, wow, Bay and Day were acting way too comfortable in your HOH room. She was talking about how it seemed like they were like best friends with him. They were like going through all of his snacks. Okay, she doesn't realize how close Enzo is to Bailey specifically. Like, he's pretty close to Day too, but like definitely Bailey. So she tries to pin the votes on Bailey and Day. Ah! So then Nicole joins them, and Enzo says, you guys are both good. You know, obviously we've got our Connect 4 alliance. He's thinking about putting up Kaysar and Kevin. We know. But Danny says, I don't know. Like, are you sure you want to put up Kevin as your pawn? Because he might get pretty pissed about that. He might get upset about that. You know, maybe it would be easier for you to put up David when he was such a wreck last week. And Enzo's like, I don't know. I like the idea of keeping David to be a target. You know, a lot of people are not happy with him right now, so maybe we should keep him around for other people to go after. So then Cody joined them, completed the core 4, and Cody just basically comes in saying, like, we got to take out Kaysar. Kaysar's got to go. Okay. So then Day talked to Enzo alone, and Enzo's like, we got to stick with the slick 6, blah, blah, blah. We get to the final 6, and then we have the connect to get down to the 4, and then we all kill each other. His words. So Day was kind of just like, okay, cool, whatever. Bye. All right. So then, well, that's all going on. Nicole and Cody are alone in the photo bedroom, and she asks, did Enzo mention backdooring Ian this week? And Cody says, yeah, but he's not going to do it. Like, so don't worry, because of course Nicole is really tight with Ian. And Nicole says she's not worried about Ian potentially being backdoored. If that's going to happen, it's going to happen. But she's worried that Enzo did not admit that to her and tell her. You know, she's got to find this out through Cody. So she's like, that means that he doesn't trust me. He's worried that I would like take that personally. And she says she wouldn't. I feel like she might. But she says, why would he not share this information with me? You know, we're supposed to be together. So Cody says, oh, well, like Enzo and I are like brothers. We just have that connection where we can talk to each other about like anything. Okay, so then Nicole says it's crazy how many times she feels like she already saved Ian. And she says if he doesn't put in the work for me, it's not worth it. Whoa! Okay, then. Honestly, though, Nicole hasn't been in any danger yet. So, like, Ian hasn't had to do anything. But whatever. Also, I don't think Ian's been in, like, I wouldn't say that Nicole's been saving Ian. Because if people wanted to really make a move on him, I don't think they would care. what Nicole is going to say. But anyway, then she tells Cody, but it will pay off if me and Ian are sitting next to each other. So this was interesting because at first I thought she meant sitting next to each other in the final two, because we know the whole reason she created this alliance with Ian is because she feels like she's not going to be able to beat anyone in the final two besides potentially Ian, since they've both already won, because nobody's going to want to give the win to somebody who's won before. So I was like, wait, why is she saying this in front of Cody? Like, she's telling him that she's going to go to the final two with Ian. But then I realized she could be talking about just like going up on the block against Ian, because people would want to vote out Ian instead of her. So I'm pretty sure that's what she meant. So then Nicole tells Cody, if I tell you something that Danny told me, like ever, don't tell her that I told you, because then she's going to think that me and you are closer than me and her, and I don't need her thinking that. And Cody says, I would never do that. I don't know. I freaking don't know with these people. Like, who knows? So anyway, I'm assuming that Cody is closer to Nicole than he actually is to Danny, but it's hard to say because these people are a mess. So then Enzo continues his chats. He tells Ian, you're not going up. Protect me if you win HOH. That's what he's saying. And Ian's like, cool. Sounds good. So that's where we're at. Nominations should be later tonight, and it's looking like it's going to be Kaysar and Kevin. I think there's still the potential that it could be Kaysar and David, but it's looking more like Kevin at this point. So if you guys want to check back later, I will post the nominations in the info for the spoiler. Yeah, that's where we are. Oh, hello. Oh, Bowie smiling. I don't know if you guys have seen before, but my dog actually smiles like a human. He's like, it's so cute. Oh, and Lucy's here too. She wants to come in.
All right.
Okay. So I want to thank all of you guys so much. Lulu's here. Lucy has more of a goldfish smile. She's like, it's very cute. Oh, so don't do that.
Okay.
Okay.
Who wants to go out? Come on.
Okay.
He put his finger in her face.
He does. He
It's
tends to
inappropriate.
like put his paw in her face, and she does not like that. But don't worry, they're okay. They're fine. All right. So I want to thank all of our super chatters today for the support. So I want to thank Richard Welch. Thank you so much. So generous. Nancy Cowden. Thank you so much. Tatum Miller. Thank you so much. Kay Moore. Thank you so much. Brant Phillips, as always. Thank you so much. Jefferson Tucker, a true all-star. Thank you so much. And Catherine. Oh, we got another Kathy for Kathy Week. Thank you to Catherine. Is it Too white? Tweet? Tweets? I'm really bad at names, guys. I'm so sorry. But thank you, Catherine. Amazing. Thank you so much.
Week of Kathy's.
Yes, Kathy Week. Oh, man. All right. So I'm going to go play Dungeons and Dragons in a little bit. And
Oh, nerd out.
I will see you guys tomorrow. So thank you so much for chatting. And until tomorrow, much love. Bye.